phantoms, apparitions, or simply ghosts. These usually aren't things that come to mind when I'm browsing for a new anime. In fact, it's quite the opposite. When I come home after a long, hard day slaving away at the old 9 to 5 and rest my aged, wafer-thin body, I'm not looking to piss myself in slightly horny fear. I want a nice, wholesome story with characters I can vicariously live through. If I wanted to be consumed with a horrifying sense of dread, why watch a horror anime when I can just turn off the TV and sit with my thoughts? Besides, the idea of combining those two genres together just doesn't make sense to me. Seriously, how could you be scared of anything drawn in this cutesy style, with the quirky, relatable shenanigans the main character gets up to, or with the alley of grotesque-looking evil spirits? Hold on, the alley of what? Mieruko-Chan is a 12-episode horror comedy anime released back in October 2021. It's the story of Mieruko-Chan, a high school girl who's suddenly gifted with the remarkable ability to see ghosts and other supernatural beings. The catch? They can see her too. So, while continuing to live her pretty generic life, she also has to ignore the entities roaming around the streets, floating through her walls when they're inches away from her face, exhaling their putrid, eye-watering breath. The contrast the show presents between the bubbly atmosphere of an anime high school and the surprisingly horrific representation of the wandering spirits makes for a tense, whiplashing experience. But anyways, let's sit back, relax, and take a look at how it all began. Her life looks pretty mundane, relaxing on the couch, texting her friends, talking to her brother before going to school to meet with her friend with a textually identifiable rack.
How can you tell it was me without looking?
Throughout the episode, there's these strange, drawn-out shots of what could really be brushed off as nothing if it wasn't for the paranoia instilled into us by seeing that godforsaken horror tag, a dog barking at a trash can, or a mysterious smudge on a mirror. Every little inconspicuous scene like that is like a mental cue to raise the tension just a tiny bit more, until finally, after the entire school day, it reaches a climax. Partying with her friend at the crossing, Mieruko realizes the charm in her bag had fallen off at some point, and seeing as she was at the school for the entire day, chances are it's probably somewhere there. Returning to her classroom, its atmosphere has taken a sudden, ominous shift. Flicking the light on and off just to fuck with us, she spots the plushie under the teacher's desk. Picking it up, but not before the 7-foot schizophrenic shadow levitates down the hall. Pouring with rain, Mieruko finds cover underneath a bus stop where she texts a selfie of herself drenched, but in response her friend sends it straight back. Again and again, speeding up to an impossibly fast rate and mutating the original face in the photo. She drops the phone and stumbles back, but when she picks it back up, all of those unsettling photos are gone, replaced with a normal response. Writing it off as sleep deprivation, what certainly isn't sleep deprivation is whatever the fuck is in front of her. The eyeless holes in the head of this creature stares down intently at Mieruko while asking her a simple question. Can you see me? She's totally frozen. Her expression doesn't break, but the fiddling of her hands out of sight clearly shows how terrified she really is. In spite of her nerves, the split-second decision she makes to ignore the creature ends up working out, as it loses interest and walks away to then totally disappear. Naturally, her emotions are let loose and tears fill her eyes. When she gets back home and gets ready for bed, we finally know what was making that weird smudge in the mirror. While brushing her teeth, there's another smudge in the same place. Wiping it away and washing her face, like the other interaction before, when she looks up, a creature is standing directly behind her. But with impressive acting, considering her situation, she plays it off before heading to bed, where you can probably guess what happens next. But what I find most terrifying is the way the episode caps off. She awakes to a completely normal house, and when walking to her class, she's spooked by a friend doing the same thing from the day before. Relieved, in the corner of her eye, she sees someone walking past the window next to them, which wouldn't be a problem if it wasn't for the fact that they were on the 3rd floor. So when her guard is at the absolute lowest, and when she's just beginning to believe that it all wasn't real, every horrifying interaction we've seen so far is confirmed in an instant, as a decrepit, eyeless woman leans her face in front of Mieruko's. And that's where it ends. I usually center these videos around not just the show in question, but also how that particular show represents some concept, or what it suggests about the direction anime is heading on a more macro scale. The problem is, that sort of premise depends on A, a notable kind of greater meaning present to even be extracted, and B, that's something interesting enough for me to obsess over. But what if I don't want to? What if everything I review and watch wasn't solely done to uncover some profound, poetic idea for me to then reductively forge into an aesthetic little conclusive Mick takeaway? What if using the excuse immersing myself like Heath Ledger's Joker doesn't justify a total lack of sunlight and crippling monster addiction to write this script? Listen, the point is, Mieruko fits into the category I'd like to call brain popcorn. It's enjoyable, easy to consume, you can vary the taste a little to not get bored, but at the end of the day, it's still popcorn. Simplistic, but good. And although I can see how comparing some studio's blood, sweat, and tears to fucking popcorn could be seen as an insult, let me clarify. Mieruko nails the niche it goes for, and as a 12-episode show, it feels extremely well-rounded and easy to watch. It avoids traps other shows can fall into of being totally defined by your gimmick. Instead, the dynamics and overarching plot compound with its signature tension and surprising moments of wholesomeness, and eventually hopefully conclude with a worthwhile hit of satisfaction earned by each previous episode. So hey, if you got some free time, consider giving it a watch. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.